Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our live session today. Today for our session we have Mutahir Mahmood, who is the founder and CEO of OShoot Collective, which is a boutique agency that is best known for their photography and videography, especially in the wedding industry. OShoot was founded with the intention to take boredom out of wedding films and photography. I will be moderating the session today. My name is Hamna Haki. I am the video content developer at the Nest.io. Hi, Mutahir. How are you?
Good, Namna. Thank you so much for inviting me over. Already like on
No.
cloud.
We're really glad to have you here. We've been working with Mutahir at OShoot for a couple of years now, and we have a special relationship now. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So before we start, I just wanted to tell our audiences that if you're looking for some group photography tips and just tips to take better photography at Eid, and अब सबकी शादियां घर पे हो रही हैं, तो just stick around for this session. हम लोग end में थोड़ी photography tips and techniques ही बात करेंगे. So Mutahir, yeah, I just wanted to start out by asking you about how was OShoot formed? Like, what was your journey? How did you start? Was it a difficult journey? Because as I read, you left a corporate job to start your own business. And हमारे यहाँ बहुत startups आते हैं इस तरह जो ये risk लेना चाहते हैं, but it's really scary for them. So maybe it might be an inspirational story for them.
No, absolutely. So, in all honesty, right, nothing was ever planned. As in photography, just literally dropped by. But now that I look back in hindsight, the only, one of the main advices that I can always give people is always look out for opportunity, right? And there's a famous quote that says, "Opportunity really knocks," and then if you actually avail it, then you might do wonders with it. So how OShoot was formed? Again, nothing was planned. It literally just happened. But in order to explain that, we might have to go back a little bit in time. I want to talk about my corporate work too, because I'm very happy with my job, actually. Because a lot of people have, as in a lot of entrepreneurs have these stories where they were bored, or, they didn't like the 9-to-5 job, or they didn't like reporting to a boss. For me, none of that ever applied. I was very, very happy, as in I was straight out of school. I went to LUMS for my MBA, and after that, I had joined Philip Morris. And I was one of the first few kids to actually get a job. So I was very happy, एक साल पहले job मिल गई है, अच्छी company है, management trainee program, everything was working out. So 3.5 years, I was actually at the job. And I had amazing bosses and I had amazing mentors, and I had a great time, they made me travel a lot and everything. So now the question arises, and OShoot kahan se beech mein aayega, right? So in the process, I was also taking pictures. So our family has a knack for taking pictures. My dad has been taking pictures since childhood, and he's been very on top of our head. So the whole idea was he used to take pictures and stuff. And there was a wedding happening at one of my colleagues, and she wanted, so there was a camera which always used to lie on my desk. So एक corporate में हमेशा एक office में वो बच्चा नहीं होता जिसके पास कैमरा एक DSLR पड़ा होता है, वो एक portrait सबकी खींचता है. So I was one of those, And so I just went to a wedding and took some nice pictures, and then I shared with her on Facebook. And that's it, That was one wedding that I shared, and somehow people enjoyed those pictures. Even I don't understand what people enjoyed, but that's how my interest in photography started while working. And then very soon a time came that I started getting more busier in the evenings and on weekends. Then I was busy at my 9-to-5 job, and then I had to literally weigh the two. It sounds very easy, but it wasn't an easy decision, I recently gotten married. My wife had moved to Sri Lanka as she was working for a company, and then they had placed her there. So I had a lot of time on myself. So all I was doing was going to office and then shooting in the evening, and shooting for fun, for friends, going to Seaview, going to Pakistan Chowk, going to Sadr, just walking around, enjoying the camera. It was like a hobby. So yeah, that's how it started. As it wasn't, nothing was planned out, if you ask me honestly.
So now, like, since
a lot of
OShoot was formed,
process, as in,
yeah.
So I'm talking about 2012, right? I quit my job in 2014 and I had started photography in 2012. So 2 years I had started, I was doing both things parallel. As in I was working also and I was shooting also. So since I was already working and I had a paycheck coming, so the income from photography was never important. So as in the point that I'm trying to make was I enjoyed taking pictures, you know. But then when income started coming more than what I was earning, then I was like, you know, maybe we have to start weighing the two. When I did quit my job, it wasn't an easy decision, if that's what you as an implying.
Yeah.
I had consulted very few people, and except for one or two, everybody told me don't do it. Okay, people were like, you know, you had already invested so much in your education, you have such a great job. So I was looking after Marlboro, and I was very proud of it also. That's one of the biggest
Yeah.
brands. Not proud that it's a tobacco company, but as from a brand point of view. So it was a difficult decision because I had already invested in my education. I had gotten one of my dream jobs that I actually wanted, and I was in the industry in marketing in brands that I wanted to pursue. So, you know, so people were like, you have to be crazy. Why are you giving up all this to do photography? You know, I mean, come on. If you had to do photography, why did you study all this? Why did you invest all this? And I was the very suited guy because before Marlboro, I was actually a banker, you know. So I had like all those
Oh,
to be in as one of those, you know, perfect corporate guys, those corporate geeky guys. So yeah. So yeah,
wow.
very few people. Everybody advised me not to do it, not to do it. Actually, my parents were also they didn't advise me not to do it, but they were very skeptical because they probably thought this is a fad, you know, and what's happening. Maybe he's going through a phase or something, and इसके बीवी नई नई शादी हुई है, बीवी भी आनी है, क्या कर रहा है, you know. They were never non-supportive, but
Yeah.
actually they were neutral. They probably left it to me to decide, which probably was the best thing because had it not worked out, I would have started looking to blame people, right? But since it was, I can't blame anyone. So yeah.
That's true.
So 2 years I was working and then doing shooting on the sides. So after 2 years, then I went full time with my photography. So the transition was very easy because I didn't have to set up anything from scratch.
Right.
It was already established. Established in the sense that I had a Facebook page. Anybody who had a camera all had a Facebook page. You all a time tha.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
2013, 2012. You know, Facebook was cool at that time. Now there's just ads,
Yeah.
ads, ads. But it's what people actually connected. You know, so that helped too.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of factors, but in hindsight, as in if you want me to conclude, it was never planned out. And I feel extremely lucky to actually hold a camera at a very different age because I wasn't a fresh graduate, you know. The degree that I'm talking about is actually my master's. So I had done my undergrad, worked at a bank for 1.5 years, then again went for my MBA. So I had already like 4 or 5 years of, you know, some work
Yeah.
experience, and then I went to photography. And people, as most of the hires that we've done now are kids who are 22, 23 years old, you know, and I keep telling them, you guys are so lucky because you have so much guidance, as in I'm here to guide you, you know. When I started, there's nobody to guide. I mean, we had one friend who I owe a lot to because he's the one who introduced me to this. Other than that, it was all trial and error and you know, learn from make mistakes and बस अभी तक mistakes ही होती रहती हैं. But the point is, you keep, you know,
You keep trying. That's true.
moving
So,
forward.
इससे मैं दूसरा अपना क्वेश्चन मुझे पूछना है तो जब आप एस्टैब्लिश हुए थे अराउंड 2012 2014 में when OShoot like came into being उस टाइम पे they were already like giants who were already like established photography businesses. So how is it that you scaled your brand into what it is today? Like OShoot एक brand है अब सही है OShoot में शादी cover कर रहा है या OShoot हमारा event cover कर रहा है. It's like a huge deal now. And there were a lot of there are a lot of freelancers also that you must have seen coming in, but then it never worked out for them. So what did you do? Like what did OShoot do differently that sets them apart? And how did you scale your brand?
अच्छा सबसे पहला सवाल तो यही है in order to understand all this, right? It took me maybe 4 years to actually start asking myself the same questions that you're asking me. Because when I started, like I said, nothing was planned, and
Right.
everything was fun, and I was enjoying, and you were young, and you were traveling also, and you were taking nice pictures. So when I started, when I quit my job, even after that, I was still just shooting without thinking through anything. And after 4 years of doing this, and 2 years after quitting my job, then I started asking myself some very hard questions, such as what have I achieved?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where am I heading? These were not the questions that I was asking myself when I quit my job. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I started asking myself all these questions, कि what have I achieved? मेरे पास MBA degree है, पर मैंने क्या किया है? मेरे पास कोई team नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है. That's when I actually started investing a lot of my time and thought process into this. Before that, I wasn't thinking. I was just, आपकी शादी कर लेते हैं, ये इवेंट कर लेते हैं, और ये नई चीज है, आता नहीं है, but try कर लेते हैं, तुक्का लग गया तो
Yeah.
लग गया. It was all trial and error. So after 2.5, 3 years, then I started getting feedback from the market. Also, a lot of these established players that you're talking about didn't welcome me, to be honest. I never felt welcome. क्योंकि मेरे लिए जो इस इंडस्ट्री का व्यू पॉइंट था वो बहुत डिफरेंट था. It was always senior artists supporting junior artists and they help them come up. वैसा कुछ नहीं था. It was just like cutthroat competition and they just trying to eat each other
Yeah.
up. Which I don't mind now, but back then I think the industry should have been more welcoming. So anyway, so it's only after, as in the last 3 years, that I actually started giving it a lot of thought process. So the first thing was that we need to have an office space as working from home. As in we still work from home, but we had to make it look like an office, and not just lazy photographers who are just editing all the time. Then we had to hire the right teams and the right equipment. Actually, बहुत चीजें हम ना, because this industry was so different. The way the whole model was very different. Everything that we're doing is against the norms of this industry. So for instance, we don't rent any equipment. We bought out all our equipment. And that was a very conscious decision in order to retain quality and maintain timelines and stuff. Then we went for vertical integration. We went for horizontal integration. We actually worked on the brand. And when I say logo also has a very funny story, because logo was made 3 years after company name after company was formed. We didn't have a logo, because we never needed a logo. We didn't believe in a logo. So the whole idea was कि पहले आप company सही करें, फिर logo, identity, इस तरह की चीजें वो आती रहेंगी. So I mean, I don't know if I've answered your question. So your question was, how am I competing with these giants, right? But yeah, we give it a lot of thought process. We try to be very different, and we are literally working against the norms as in we have broken the whole the business model, and we go into our own rules. We follow a lot of Indian photographers actually. I think they've progressed a lot in terms of their working style. I mean, some ideas. How does a creative charge? Because हमारे लिए ना billable hours होते हैं, as in the amount of work that we do. It's very difficult to quantify. I mean, as in some people might think we're very expensive, some people might think we're very cheap. So the whole idea is, how do you, as in, put a number to you, or as in, what's your value, what's your worth?
Yeah.
How change hoti rehti hai, because it's not that because you're becoming older or bigger. It's because you're becoming more skilled, for example. Yeah.
But like you guys, sorry.
So when I had entered this industry, right, there were a lot of issues. Issues in the sense that since day one, we always felt there are a lot of unmet needs. I mean, अगर आपने photographer को book करना है, for example, right, आप call करेंगे, meeting के लिए कोई अच्छी जगह नहीं थी, आपको उनकी दुकान पे अगर जाना पड़ रहा है तो वो comfort नहीं है. I mean, I'm talking about, because photography for me is a very intimate thing. It's very personal. Because those pictures will stay with you forever, and especially if you talk about weddings, it's very intimate. If you don't get that nice experience since day one, there's something not right. So अब पहले क्या होता था कि photographer जीवन क्या आ रहे हैं, and I think that's so wrong, because if you go into a wedding, you're not even dressed for that occasion. you know. So there were a lot of unmet needs in terms of personality, equipment. You know, I mean, I'm not to downplay the photographers of our industry, but 80% of them were like that, which is not a hidden fact. It's a known fact, you know. So these were the things that we wanted to address, and this is what I think helped us set apart. You know, that's what I like to say. I don't think it was the photography. It was just we were very big on service, you know. And मेरे जो पहली job थी banking में, that really helped also. In the sense that, you know, you learn something or the other from every job that you do. And Alhamdulillah, before photography also, I had very good corporate experiences. So banking से हमने servicing सीखा था, or from the tobacco firm, I learned how to think big, you know, and big budgets and big, you know, big campaigns. So all that, then I started applying. So in order to, as in how to compete with these big industry, we're still competing. Of course, we nowhere big at all. We try to grow. We're trying to grow. We're trying to be better.
Very modest.
No, it's a fact, because our capacity is very limited. You know, we only had 20 people in the team. If you look at competition, they have 80, 100 people in their teams. So we know it close to them also. But we're heading in the right direction, and we're very content with what we're doing because everything is quality based. It's service based, quality based. Because for me, these things are more important than photography, than the product itself. You know, the experience is very important. If you don't have a good experience, product को छोड़ो ना, मतलब पहले experience ही नहीं सही है, फायदा नहीं होगा.
ये भी है. But अच्छा, so अब मुझे ये बताएं कि these were some of the challenges that you faced when you joined the industry, सही है, and it is your client understanding, the way you deal with clients that sets you apart from all of these photographers. क्योंकि अभी हमने देखा है सोशल मीडिया पे भी रोज कोई नया इंस्टाग्राम पेज आ रहा होता है, एक नया फोटोग्राफर है, ये फोटोग्राफी वो फोटोग्राफी, सही है. बट व्हेन यू आर डीलिंग विद देम आपको पता चल जाता है प्रोफेशनलिज्म का जो लेवल होता है एक, सही है. We've worked with you on a professional basis, like with the Nest IO. You've been covering our biggest conference, which is 0 to 1 Disrupt, every year, 3 saal se. And I've also worked with you on a personal level where you covered my own wedding. So I've seen, yeah. So the thing is that what sets you apart, I feel, is the level of comfort that OShoot provides for their clients. Like from the first call that you do to set up the meeting, and then you go to the meeting, you do put a process hota hai to getting the pictures on time. Because when you're a photographer, videographer, and you're freelancing, आपके आप टाइम पे चीजें डिलीवर कर दें, ये भी बहुत एक huge deal अब है in this market.
So I mean, I don't want to use any negative word, but I'm so fed up of all these problems, you know.
Yeah.
My idea is we just need to address these once and for all, and then get over them and set some industry norms, you know. Now, I'm just say, I mean, thank you for the kind words, by the way. So all that I had actually learned before I had even picked up a camera, you know, and then I got all those learnings and experiences when I formed my own company. Now, the problem is when I started hiring people, I didn't know where to go because there are very, very few educational institutes that would offer a major in photography, for example, right? They're all about graphic designing or animation, but एक होता है ना pure wedding portfolio हो या एक filmmaker हो. It's very hard to find educated people. So yeah, so I think, I mean, a lot of my personality also rubbed into my business. And that's exactly what I've been training people who are joining us. This is it, you know, this is how you're supposed to do. As in photographers ki jo perception hai is not good, you know, especially at weddings, because the way we are treated is also not respect. But I don't blame our clients for it, because we ourselves have brought this on us, you know. I mean, wo ye na izzat do izzat lo wali baat hai. But we're trying to change and address a lot of things. For example, I do feel that since we have upped the game in service, a lot of our competitors don't have a choice, but they have to also up their game, you know. For example, if we are very fast in responding, others also have to be fast in responding. I mean, you can't respond to a query maybe 48 hours after, and, you know, maybe think that you still have the business after you're replying after 7 days. So things don't work that way. And the thing is, in Pakistan also, we have come across very few businesses who are very service oriented, you know. And so for my undergrad, I actually went to Canada as I was in UFT. And when I was in UFT, I had a lot of experiences, जो मुझे अभी तक याद हैं, in the sense that as in I was wowed by the service, you know. And those ideas and those experiences resonated with me after like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. And this is actually what we try to mimic at OShoot, that whatever we do, it has to be a wow experience, no questions, you know. So for example, when we shoot and we talk to any of the clients, we don't call them clients anymore. We call them family member. So this is it. And this is how we treat our family. If you're family, then, you know, and you have all the respect, you have all the love. This is actually what we start a day with. That, you know, we're all, as in, even the employees, we all consider ourselves as family. And so I guess that's where the personalization comes from. And it's not hard, you know. I mean, it's not hard to be nice to people. It's not hard to maybe leave a lasting impression by providing good service, you know. It makes us happy. And I know it makes people happy too, but at first it makes us happy. It kind of reassures us the type of work that we're doing. It gives us a closure, you know. It's fulfilling. तो जो corporate में होते थे वो fulfilling नहीं होता था, you know. I guess when you work.
So moving on, since our title for today is growing in a saturated market through experiences and meaningful connections, let's talk about the meaningful connections. Like, what do we mean by meaningful connections? How do we make those connections? Like, for somebody like me, I've been working for 5 years now, and I have made connections, but I've never like took advantage of them. And I need to know, like, what do you do with those connections?
See, so first of all, we need to establish what does this meaningful connection mean, right? And before that, you mentioned that we're already in a saturated market. So if we say we are in a saturated market, it means there are a lot of other players also. And if there are a lot of other players, how do you differentiate yourself, you know? So A था कि service आप बहुत दें, और B था कि connection आप establish करें. When I say connection, it may have multiple meanings, but it's literally me connecting with you, you know, me talking nicely with you, me actually inquiring about your family members, for instance, if I know them, you know, and me maybe sending some good gesture or, you know, something. As in, the whole idea is that I should be on top of your mind when the need comes. So for example, if you need photography, videography, or photo or other services, I want you to remember me, you know. And how can I do that? Only if I establish a rapport with you and I stay connected to you. It's not that I establish a rapport and then, okay, tata, bye-bye, good doing business with you. No. I mean, so I want to stay connected with you. I want to establish a rapport with you and then continue that connection. And in that whole connection process, I mean, when I say meaningful connection, I'm actually looking at 5 to 10 years at least, you know, not 4 to 5 days, for example. So if, let's say, if I've known you for 5 to 8 years, there'll be so many milestones that will come into your life. I want to be part of that milestone, you know, as in we want to be part of that milestone because that's what we do. So those milestones can only be captured or known if I have a meaningful connection with you, you know. And answering your first part, how do we manage to grow in a saturated market? The answer is very simple. Since day one, it was always about diversifying ourselves, you know. क्योंकि जब मैंने ये नया start किया था, so a lot of people were skeptical. Okay, I don't know why he's doing that. Will he even be successful or not? The whole idea was as we had started with weddings, and wedding was very seasonal. बस November, December में शादियाँ होती थी और June, July में, you know, that's it. So literally 3 to 4 months in 1 year. So everybody used to ask me, what are you going to do for the rest of the year? And I always used to give them a very blank look. I have no idea. So 3-4 years ago, we actually started thinking, you know, okay, yes, this is true. We don't do anything. As in we sit in our offices 7 months and we're idle. You know, छोटा मोटा काम कर रहे होते हैं, but वो काम में नहीं, as in we don't consider that as work. Pocket money, you know. So that was a very freelancer way of thinking. But we had to change that, and we had to make sure that our revenue streams, our income is not just seasonal, it's throughout the year. And then the only way to do that was diversification. We had to diversify. And by diversify, we literally had to diversify our services, So we were offering photography, then we started offering videography. We started offering, as in fulfill, as in it wasn't complete. So we started offering photo booths, So photo booth actually did wonders for us. It's a really cool concept. It's a new concept. There are very, very few players in Pakistan who are doing it. Surprisingly, because it's done literally magic for us. So the whole idea is that
that was actually going to be my next question. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
By all means, actually, to talk about, I guess an entrepreneur's head is like a maze. So when I used to work for a corporate, we always used to have all these business plans and presentations, right? Or jab se quit kiya, I haven't opened PowerPoint once, but there are a lot of thoughts which are in my head,
Right.
We're trying to structure ourselves slowly and trying to hire more people who can help us structure all these thoughts into presentations. As in nothing presentations and all that bureaucratic work, but it does help you to grow, So we started growing the saturated market through diversification of our services.
So that was going to be my next question about जो आपने photo booth की बात की है, because even अभी right now in the current scenario, कि अभी कोई बड़ी gatherings नहीं होंगी, so there won't be like big weddings for you guys to cover or corporate events that you will be covering, right? So you pivoted towards your photo books right now. Yeah. So your photo books have been a part of OShoot, but right now they're like the major selling point of OShoot, and like they're selling like hotcakes. Everybody's talking about your quarantine books and your Mother's Day books. But that's just one example of how you guys use innovation and technology at OShoot, and like photo booths is another example. So could you like tell us a little bit about the innovation that you're constantly like putting in?
This is something that I consider my baby, in the sense that, so as when we started with photography, it was nothing new in Pakistan, right? But photo booth and photo books is something that we feel we did start in Pakistan, and that has literally been our edge, So for example, जब हमने पहले शुरू किया था, तो diversification was the key, right? And we were trying to think कि किस तरह diversify कर सकते हैं, मतलब आप कितनी शादियां कर लेंगे, कितने product कर लेंगे, कितने corporate events कर लेंगे, I mean, you're human, right? And in one night you can only do one event, 2 events, 3 events. So all we had to do, Hamna, was change our mindset. And when I say mindset, we just had to change the way we think. And the way photo booth came was, we started thinking, okay, we have all these cameras, we take pictures. Now, what else can we do? So we started thinking not of technology as such. We started thinking of applications. Like how can we apply photography? So, which basically meant that there was a lot of brainstorming involved, right? The first brainstorming was what impact are you making from photography and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of internal research, as in basically my mind. So the first thing that came out was that people love pictures and maybe they want to be in control of themselves, right? So that was the first insight that came out of our own team's meetings, right? So we cover a lot of events where people are not comfortable with a photographer as per se, for various reasons. That's when a photo booth machine came into the picture. So the whole idea was, it's an automated machine with the touch screen. You just click on it and a picture prints in 10 seconds. Again, it's not a new concept in the world. Obviously, it's been happening in New York and a lot of other places. But in Pakistan, it was never even heard of, And we took a lot of inspiration, and then we made those machines. The first 2-3 events were not that great in terms of printing quality, but soon we were always at it, And now after I think 3-4 years of doing photo booths, alhamdulillah, we've got like 4-5 machines now, and they're very we've got iPads installed, and that's a very good use of technology. जहाँ तक कोविड की बात है फोटो बुक्स की, अगेन actually this was a very scary time. Scary. Like I said before, that everything that we did was never planned, and we were okay with it because some way or the other we were working and some revenue was coming. But this COVID thingy actually just froze everything. Everything just came to a standstill, right? But the only thing that did not come to a standstill was expenses. And the only priority for me was my employees, because I can sustain myself, I can sustain myself for probably 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, but there are a lot of people who work with us who literally live paycheck to paycheck, and I was like, there is no way I'm even going to think of downsizing just to save my savings, and that really shook me, because of the first 2 weeks, we were actually very down and depressed and and away from social media. And actually, this is the first time I'm coming live. I wanted to stay away from these live, but I couldn't. But anyway, so deep down, we knew that we had to take care of all these employees, and there's no way that I'm going to fire them or even cut their salaries. So we had to figure out new ways of working or trying to do something जिससे वो socially compliant भी हो, as in pandemic compliant bhi ho, you're not going out, you're not doing anything. So this idea came of the photo books. As in so 2 years ago, we invested and had our own facility, but we were only doing it for wedding albums. And we never thought that we'll give it to other people also. Ekka dukka travel books bana li thi, but it was never a forte. But this time, so we were lucky that we had all the investments made 2-3 years ago. We had all the materials. So what we do is we've always been bulk buying. So we buy bulk as in all the materials, which lasts us a year. So abhi jo hamari shipment thi, wo Jan mein aayi thi. And as in sab cheezein ready.
Good timing.
Ready nahi tha. Material wise, yeah, we were very lucky that way. Har cheez ready, bas idea kabhi nahi aaya tha. So idea aaya ki maybe album making is all in-house. So that's the only thing that we have in control, and we don't have to, as in, go outside and get infected, or we can work in a very nice, safe environment. And jo log hamare farig baithe hue hain because of events not happening, we can actually put them to work, and that's exactly what we do.
It's a very great idea.
But then the point was कि ये orders आएंगे कैसे? Because we have a website for weddings, but we don't have a website for photo books, And I personally feel that Pakistani people don't have the time, or at least in Karachi, people don't have the time to actually upload and send us the pictures. So we thought we did a huge experiment, and it was a huge risk because somebody had, I think a few days back, WhatsApp me a picture to print, and I started debating with them. This is WhatsApp, you can't print this, and blah 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 blah. And then they were very desperate, and it's a long story. To cut it short, so I took the picture and then we started editing it. And then we were like, you know what, this is no way we can print because the picture was very low res. And when we printed it, it was decent. So we started editing it a little more. There's a certain way you edit these WhatsApp photographs in order to print them nicely. Then we started increasing the size. And suddenly we like, this is amazing. It's working. And we can print WhatsApp photographs. So in this pandemic, we figured out a way to print WhatsApp photographs. We figured out, as in we made a preset to print low-res photographs into like big scale prints. So I don't know what technology thi, idea tha, ya bethe. I mean, we were lucky,
I think both combined.
Combination. Lucky कि सारा material हमारे पास पहले से पड़ा हुआ है. Again, ये सारी business decisions थी, there's economies of scale. You buy bulk, कैसे कम हो जाते long term thing.
So we have a few questions. Yeah,
absolutely.
So
Great.
We're having a few questions from some of our audience members. So a question is by Mubashir, and he's asking, can you share some of the norms that you broke and the disruptions that you made? Some examples of those.
Right. So the first thing is we bought all our equipment. Everybody who joins us, right? So we don't work with freelancers. If anybody wants to work with us, they have to join us full time. And then it is our promise to give them a career, because freelancers ka ye hota hai ki I can't have any person who does not have the full commitment to go shoot events, because I personally have invested all my life and heart and soul into it, and I can't allow others to come half-heartedly just for the money and then shoot, So first thing that the norm that we broke is we only work with full-time employees. We don't hire freelancers. And once you're on board we provide them with all the equipment, every camera, every lenses, everything. Yeah. So that way they don't have to, spend so much money and invest, because let's say times are changing, you need to keep changing the lenses, right? I can't expect these employees to keep making those big capital expenditures. So this was a very conscious decision that we did. So that was one major norm that we broke, and I think that has done wonders for us also.
Yeah. So some people are asking tips for photography. So I just wanted to mention कि हम अभी बस आ रहे हैं उस part पे, थोड़ा सा wait कर लें. Sorry.
So actually, I can talk about the tips if you want me to right now.
No. We'll just move on to that. Yeah. So the question, so there's one photography related question. So people are now doing like a lot of kinds of photography. Like there's food photography, product photography, portraits, fashion photography, wedding photography. How does somebody who's starting out, वो कैसे select करें कि अच्छा मैं ये वाली photography करूँ या मैं ये वाली photography करूँ? And या तो should they diversify their portfolio and try a little bit of everything, or should they like put their focus on like one niche and then become like the best at that?
See, my advice would be, since day one, if you're actually starting out, just try your hand out at everything. It's not about finding a niche, but it's more about fear of missing out on what you could have been good at, So for instance, before weddings, we were doing a lot of product photography. We were doing a lot of street photography. My heart is in street, by the way. But it doesn't help me pay my bills. So it was a very conscious decision away from street photography, So try everything out. And when I say try everything out, not for a month, try for at least 2 years. Only then you will figure out what you like and what you don't, what you like and what you dislike. Once you figure that out, then it's very easy to form a niche. But it's better to stick to one thing, So for example, we've been contemplating for a very long time to add a fashion portfolio. So we don't do fashion at all. We don't have the patience to do fashion. So you need a lot of patience to do it. So the easiest to do that is to hire a photographer whose niche is fashion, and that will allow us also to make a foray into fashion. So we've been contemplating that. But जो नया start कर रहे हैं, just try everything out. How would you know? I mean, अगर मैं आपके सामने 10 खानों की dishes रख दूं, unless you're going to try out, you won't know what you like, So I was a very late comer to sushi, for example. Now I love sushi, but पहले I never used to eat sushi because कभी try नहीं किया था, Just an example. Yeah.
Okay, so we have one more question.
Although this might be a relatable example, but if you remember, जब हमारे जो पहले emails होते थे, Hotmail होता था, hotmail.com, right? और जब Gmail आया था, तो उसने Hotmail को बिल्कुल तबाह कर दिया था. As in Hotmail used to give us 100 MB, Gmail came with 2 GB, disruptor. So जो भी आप करें, बस as a disruptor आपको आना होगा in order to stand out. Otherwise, you'll just be another guy with another shop. No difference, I mean, you have to disrupt. आके रखना बहुत ज़रूरी है.
So Mohammad Munib Puri is asking, photography is often about individuals and not brands. How do you consciously reduce your exposure and increase your brands? Like your personal exposure कम करके, how do you like make sure कि OShoot को exposure मिले?
अच्छा, so actually that's a very, very good question, because this is like a nightmare for anybody in the service industry or the creative industry. Who gets more popular, the entrepreneur, the founder, or the artist, or the brand? So for example, if I have to wear multiple hats, I have to wear an entrepreneur hat, I have to wear a photographer hat, I have to wear the friend hat, and then there's a very thin line on how to balance everything out. So for example, 2-3 years ago, I was almost on the verge of what do you call a creative meltdown, a burnout, and I stopped picking up my phone because this is the time when we were not structured, and that's when the thought came, okay, you know what, Mutahir, this is not the way things should have been going. I should be enjoying this. Now I'm not enjoying this because it's just too much work. फिर हमने सोचा कि यार ये इंडिविजुअल को तो आपको हटाना होगा. There is no Mutahir anymore. There's no Mutahir photographer anymore. तो हमारा सारा फोकस ना फोटोग्राफी से हटा, इंडिविजुअल लोगों से हटा, and सिर्फ ब्रांड पे आया. And that's that we actually hired a brand consultant to give us a whole makeover. So she was great. She gave us a whole, as in she helped us build this brand from conceptual to the logo, to our thank you cards, to our packaging, everything. And again, that has also done wonders, because if I die, the brand dies, right? But that's not how brands are. That's not how brands should be. Because how do I scale myself up? I can't scale myself up, you know. And how do I sustain myself up? You can't sustain an individual. You can only sustain and scale a brand. So Munib has asked actually a very good question, and that is one of the most pressing challenges that we've always faced, brand versus individuals, you know. But now it's all about the brand, and then it is our promise that everybody associated with that brand is going to fulfill the values that we stand for. And that is my only job now, to make sure that everybody we hire has those values. If not, then we will train them, and not train them for 1 month, 1 year, 2 years before letting them out. So a lot of people don't understand this. As in, a lot of people want to join us, but they leave after 1 or 2 months because they think I'm too strict in letting them go. You know, my whole thing is, if you are come, you have to be trained for 2 years. As in, think of this as an incubation period. There are no shortcuts. There can't be any shortcuts. We never applied any shortcuts. You know, I mean, if you want shortcuts, there are tons of others out there, but that will not lead you anywhere. You won't make a difference with those shortcuts. So if anybody wants to come, please, we are always open, but give us 2 years, and then we promise you, we will do wonders for you and give you a proper career. Yeah.
Oh, bhai, photographers, you can now apply to OShoot.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
this announcement was made by Mutahir.
And I'm very proud to actually even offer these positions. Yeah, we're offering careers.
So now I think it's the right time to move on to the photography tips. So we wanted to take this opportunity to give our audiences like a basic photography 101 with Mutahir. So अब ईद आ रही है, लोगों की शादियां, निकाह वगैरह अब घर से हो रहे हैं. So they're not able to hire photographers. They're not able to like do it extravagantly anyway. तो अब लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, फोन से ले रहे हैं, या अगर किसी के पास DSLR है तो ले रहे हैं. So how do
just invest in a nice phone and you're good to go. The only threat
exactly
is these phones, you know. And the way we've actually kind of embraced it also, and we totally accepted this. But yeah, so tip number 1, which I'm sure you can tell, as in whoever's logged into right now, you can tell even I am very nicely lit, and so is Hamna very nicely lit. And we have some source of light, you know. So I think a lot of people know this, कि light अगर अच्छी नहीं होगी, कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं आएगा, सही है? So if you're sitting indoors, you might be in a place where there's not a lot of natural light. So I work from a basement, and that's the only window that you see here. That's the only source of light that we have. But that doesn't mean that कि आप अंधेरे में बैठे हैं. तो हमने क्या किया, अपने सारे बल्ब जो हैं full high voltage वाले लगाए हुए हैं. That's the first thing that you need to do. Everybody needs to do that in their homes, because our homes are just not equipped for photography. And I mean, whoever I FaceTime with or I take pictures, whenever we go to people's homes, it's always bad lighting, you know, and it's literally the bulbs. Just change the bulbs. Have yellow bulbs, bright, nice, and have lots of them. That's like number 1 tip. Better lighting. And if you don't have bulbs, then just sit next to a window. Again, this is
like I'm doing right now.
You're so nicely lit. Although though the white balance that are blue ki taraf ja raha hai, but that's okay.
I think
the thing is, you look very appealing. In bad lighting, you look very unappealing. I can actually give you an example of bad.
Yes, please.
So now this is the light that I switched off.
Yeah, no way.
A lot of Zoom sessions have been going on like this, you know. So I'm just going to go back and switch on the light before people run away.
Yes. Lighting is very important. That is very, very true.
Lighting is the only key. And then the second key is just frame nicely. So the photo book project that we've been doing in this pandemic, right? So we've been receiving a lot of phone pictures, because the whole idea that people just WhatsApp their pictures, since we don't have an app and we don't believe in apps, and WhatsApp is very convenient also. So people have been WhatsApping a lot of phone pictures. So in the last 2 weeks, I think I've seen around 10,000 phone pictures. And I hate to say this, but those pictures, some of the pictures are awful. Awful. Simply because that the photographer was just too lazy to maybe put the phone maybe bend a little bit and compose or have a nice frame. When I'm saying frame, maybe just put the subject right in the center or maybe a little off center, but sari kata hua hai ya pair kate hue, you know, इस तरह की चीजें हुई हैं. I understand moment over quality, but I think in 2020 and going forward, this is not acceptable anymore, because your phone cameras are very good. We figure out lighting, bulb change करने या उसके साथ बैठना है. अब तस्वीर कैसे खींचनी है, कोई साइंस नहीं है, बटन दबाना है. So you just have to frame it nicely. So I think going forward, people should not have any excuses for poor quality phone photographs. So tip number 1 is good lighting. Tip number 2 is a nice, decent camera, phone camera. And tip number 3 is, Amna, your quiz.
मुझे क्या पता?
No, and tip number 3, just compose it nicely, frame it nicely.
Yeah. और so घर पे लोगों के like windows हैं या कोई अगर colored walls हैं या कोई, how do they utilize that space to make better photos?
See, a little bit of styling always helps. You know, again, for example, our homes are usually not equipped for nice photographs in terms of lighting. Even in terms of the deco, it will look very nice to the eyes, not towards the camera. So तस्वीर के लिए थोड़ा सा आपको shifting करनी पड़ती है, and there's no harm. And you know, actually before all this also, we Pakistanis need to get in the habit of taking pictures, not on only just birthdays and weddings and graduation, daily life, you know. So I know a lot of mothers do, and mothers and fathers, as in new dads and new ones, are the only ones who document the kids. अगर उनका बेबी ना हो, वो क्या तस्वीरें नहीं खींचते. Do you understand? So लोग एक दूसरे की तस्वीरें नहीं खींचते. We need to get in the habit of that, firstly, you know, and everybody has a nice phone. Just start getting in the habit of taking pictures. No excuses.
So what apps could they use to maybe edit those photos on their phones?
Editing, again, it's really a personal call how much time you want to spend on it, but मेरे नजरों में it makes no difference. The only thing that you should focus on is nice bright photographs, you know, that you can remember maybe 10-15 years from now. The apps that we use in order to do all this is Snapseed, and actually we just use Snapseed and Lightroom for mobile. And these two are the only apps that we use. And trust me, the only thing that we're doing, as in we do to our pictures, is literally exposure, as in brightness and blacks and whites, and I mean simple stuff. There's no tone. All the tone and showing that we do, we set in the camera. But sorry, I'm mistaken. We're talking about phone photography right now.
Phone photography, yeah.
The only apps that you need for brightness and to fix shadows and, you know, and all those things is
highlight, shadows, exposure. यही
very simple app. Literally एक slider होता है. अब यू करेंगे bright हो जाती है तस्वीर, यू करेंगे dark हो जाती है. It's so easy now, and things are so accessible, and they're all free. So no quality photographs. I get very angry now when I see as in poor quality phone photographs. पहले तो effort ही नहीं लगा रहे लोग, तस्वीर ही नहीं खींच रहे, तो इतना lazy होके खींच रहे हैं. फिर मुझे कहते हैं you're a photographer, why don't you take it? I'm like, that has nothing to do with me being a photographer. Everyone is a photographer. You need to get in the habit of, you know. I say personally, I hate selfies. I don't take selfies at all. But that doesn't mean that I front camera नहीं use करता. You know, I keep using, as I take a lot of pictures. Yeah.
So अब हमारे पास, we have like 5 minutes left. So I'm just going to do like a rapid fire round.
Okay, so I was very jittery when now I feel I'm getting comfortable, and now you're saying it's time to end.
1 घंटा हो गया, आपको पता है. So we're just going to do a quick rapid fire round. Quick rapid, wow. But anyway, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. सही है? And आपके पास जल्दी मुझे answers चाहिए. So who are your top 3 photographers?
Top 3 photographers? Wow. In Pakistan, I really like Ali Khurshid. I'm really inspired by his work. But now we follow a lot of Indian photographers. We like Sharma and Siddharth Sharma. If you want to check them out on Instagram, these three are very cool photographers. Ali Khurshid is nice, Naman Verma and Siddharth Sharma. I think their work is very conceptual.
Right. So what is your go-to gear for photography?
Sorry, what is my go-to?
Gear for photography
Yeah.
when you're covering events or something. Yeah.
So in my bag, you will always have this 35 mm lens, always. So let's say if I go to any big or small event, right, and I can't figure out which lens to use, my standard lens is 35 mm. It's a little wide angle, but it's very comfortable also. Actually, so our eyes are actually 35 mm, as in the focal length is 35. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. So the lens that I use, literally what you're seeing is what you want to capture, right? And that's how I think. Whatever I'm seeing, I should capture. और 35 mm बिल्कुल वही चीज दिखाती है जो मैं देख रहा हूँ. It's not too wide, it's not too focused. It's just what your eyes are seeing, you know. So it helps in very good composition. So yeah, 35 mm is my go-to camera lens.
Okay. What do you think? Which phone is the best for photography?
Okay, phone. I actually just bought an iPhone 11 like last week, and I'm blown away with the result. I mean, मैंने use किया हुआ है, Google Pixel भी use किया. Both cameras are outstanding. You know, and the best part is you're so quick with it. Literally, camera बस जेब से निकाला and it's on. It's like बस जेब से निकालना है, on है. So yeah, both iPhone is very good and so is Google Pixel. You know, Samsung will fit you. I've never used Samsung, but I'm sure all these top-notch cameras are all nice. Huawei is nice. I don't think there should be any difference for phone photography. The only difference comes when you're printing. You know, अगर बड़ी prints करने हैं, megapixel कम, but Instagram पर आप डालें तस्वीरें, आप खींच.
Achha, so what are the top two or three photography related accounts that if wedding photography related nahi, lekin just in general photography accounts, if I'm interested in photography, तो मैं कौन से accounts follow करूँ according to you?
So it really depends. For instance, I'm not into too much conceptual photography or surreal photography. I'm more into you know, the old vintage look and the film look.
Right.
I really like that. So there's an Instagram account called Looks Like Film. Those pictures actually from film cameras. जो पहले reel वाले नहीं होते थे, 30 pictures roll वाले. So Looks Like Film is one. Then there's another. It's actually a magazine. It's called Somewhere Magazine. It's pretty cool. They have all these nice new campaigns coming out, as in photography related campaigns. It's stunning photographs. And what else? I think these two will come to my mind right now.
Okay, that's fine. So what's in your backpack when you're doing photography?
So my bag is very small and I dump a lot of things in it. My go-to lenses are 35, 50, 85. And now I've been sneaking a wide angle lens also with my camera, and that's it. And then I have a lot of extra battery packs and a lot of extra memory cards. I don't use flash, so flash मैंने रखना ही छोड़ दिया. And yeah, that's always in my camera. So what I do is I don't like, when I'm shooting an event or when I'm photographing, I don't like going to my bag. So what I do is I started wearing this belt, which where I can hang all my lenses. So my whole equipment is always like dancing around me.
That's actually a very nice tip for photographers. क्योंकि बार-बार बैग पे जाना बहुत annoying होता है.
Very annoying.
Okay, so second last question. What is one of the most interesting experiences that you've had while doing your photography, like at an event or at a wedding or anything?
Actually, the positive response that we've received in the last 2 weeks, we've never received this response ever since OShoot has been formed. I mean, OShoot was formed in officially 2012. It's been 8 years. Full time, I've been doing it since 6 years. But जो हमें पिछले 2 हफ्ते में response मिला है through these photo books, I can't tell you now. Because I'll tell you a very nice story. So there's this guy I know who is stuck on a ship because he's in merchant navy and he's stuck on a ship, right? And he's been stuck for God knows how long. And as in, he was already sailing. He completed his 3 months and he was supposed to fly back, but he can't because COVID ho gaya, airports band ho gaye, and his wife and kids are here, right? And that guy from in the middle of the ocean, he WhatsApped me his photographs. We made an album and we delivered it to her.
Oh my God.
I can't tell you this feeling, honestly, you know, and this is what we've been doing. People are WhatsApping us their pictures,
Yeah.
connecting people. So we literally connecting people through these photo books. We've received messages where people are crying, you know. Even I mean, ये तो हमसे भी बहुत बड़ी की चीज हो गई है. So yeah, so this, I mean, I'm just all on photo books right now, and this is what we do day in day out, you know. Literally, बस
Yeah.
हम ये बना रहे हैं, printing कर रहे हैं, बना रहे हैं, binding कर रहे हैं, और खुद ही जाके deliver कर रहे हैं. So for the Mother's Day album, as in the stock, I personally had to deliver 70 albums in my car, and food loves are thank you
Oh, wow.
option नहीं था, you know. And I felt bad also कि मैं अपने लोगों को बोलूँ अब writers बन जाओ, you know. But अब सब बन गए. Probably like चलो ये भी कर.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Okay, last question.
Right now
Last
that
question.
sorry.
What is like one tip that you want to give to photographers who want to venture out or who want to start their own photography businesses?
One tip, I would say stay patient. Stay patient. They know a lot of people are looking for quick solutions. Why? I mean, if I need to do this as a career, I'm thinking 30 years I will do this. 20 years, 40 years I'll do this. So सबको एक महीने के अंदर ही popular बनना है. Why? Stay patient, and you will get the results.
That's a very good tip. So this is the end of our session today.
So much, Hamna. Honestly, I
Thank
did
you.
1 hour. I was very jittery, and I hope this was helpful for your audience.
Yeah. Thank you, Mutahir. That was really good. I'm sure people found it very useful.
I'm so happy, and thank you for considering me to even be on this webinar.
I'm sorry I'm wearing this mask, but I have 2 individuals who have popped in, so I don't want to talk to them without a mask on.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Hamna,
Good
for
going.
conducting the
Thank
interview.
you.
All right, see you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.